Welcome to the Not Null Podcast. I'm just an AI voice. But here are your real hosts, Kevin Doyle, Bobby Davis, Paul Bratzlavsky, and Sarah Kimmel.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. This is the tech podcast where we talk about everything AI to VR, robots to flying cars. This week, literally flying cars. Stay tuned for that one at the end. So I'm Kevin Doyle. This week, I'm joined by Paul Bratzlavsky, Sarah Kimmel, and Bobby Davis. And coming up in this week's episode, Twitter blocks unregistered users and limits tweet reads. I'm going to call this the Twitter dumpster fire story. The high school that gave everyone the same password. Genius move. The new EU AI law regulations proposal that we're going to see here soon. And are flying cars finally here? The FAA has approved a flying car. And then we'll wrap up with our null, not null section where we recommend that you avoid a certain product or service. So let's jump into our first section here then. Let's talk about Twitter. The current dumpster fire that is Twitter. Just an update for everybody on my current Twitter status. I am still banned, suspended, whatever Elon decides to call it. So none of these things that we're going to talk about even affect me. So,
but now we know why you got banned.
Maybe. So Elon Musk's Twitter, which that's what I'm calling it now, has had an interesting few days. He started off on last Friday. So we're on Wednesday today. We record this last Friday, June 30th. He starting out the day by blocking unregistered users. So basically, if you didn't have an account on the site, you could no longer see tweets, public tweets. You could no longer click on accounts and profiles. You could see nothing. So any outsider without an account was blocked out. It was initially presented in a way that it just happened. We didn't know whether this was intentional or non-intentional. Could have been a technical problem because, no one works there anymore, so that could happen. But also, it could have been intentional. Turns out later in the day, he said it was intentional. It's a temporary emergency measure. And the reason given was that several hundred organizations, maybe more, this is the official tweet, by the way, was scraping Twitter scraping data extremely aggressively to the point where it was affecting the real user experience. I just find that part funny, affecting the real user experience. Interesting take, because the very next day, he really affected the real user experience by then passing this strange rule that said to address those extreme levels of data scraping and system manipulation, that they've applied limits to what certain accounts can do on Twitter. So if you had a verified account, which is a paid Twitter account, you're paying $8 a month to get the verification, you are limited to reading 6,000 posts a day. If you are unverified, you just have a free account, meaning basically you have the same account that everybody else has, but you're not paying. So if you're not paying, you got to read 600 posts a day. And if you had a new unverified account, it was 300 posts a day. So what we mean by posts is it could be a thread, right? You could have one post and it could have 10 follow-ups. That's 11 posts you've read for the day. You could get through 600 kind of quick. It's a pretty small limit. They did later on up that limit. So it went up to, I think it was 10,000 and 1,000. I think they left 300 on the lower end. I'm not sure. It might have been 600. But they upped them later on in the day. And as of today, actually, this morning, apparently this is rolled back for some people too. Oh, actually, the original thing had rolled back for some people. Now, if you don't have an account, you can now start looking at the site again. Mm-hmm. So, 2 days, they did this crazy stuff over 2 days. So a few things came out of this. Also, by the way, in this mix here, they also said that Twitter support came out and said that TweetDeck now, which is their official application that they purchased, within 30 days of this, you're going to have to be a verified user to access this app. Mm-hmm. So if you're running TweetDeck, use multiple accounts and do all this extra stuff that TweetDeck allows you to do, you're now going to have to be a paid user. So TweetDeck is now going to be behind a paywall within the next 30 days. So is all this a coincidence? The fact that I'm not on it anymore? No, I think it's all because I'm not on there anymore. Is it related? I don't know. Maybe. It could be. I got swept up in some kind of kind of, I'm guessing a spam bot kind of weird thing that for some reason incorrectly triggered my account. So they're trying to ban all this stuff. But then he's saying now that this is all because of AI scraping everything on the site and giving all away the information for free. I'm not even convinced that's the case. So, Bobby, let me ask you. Firstly, can you explain what scraping content from the internet is from a kind of a more of a technical perspective? And is this the kind of solution to stop that? Does this work to stop that?
So, yes, web scraping is something I've done a lot in my career. Obviously,
so this isn't something illegal. This isn't hacking.
Okay. Depends. You can. Okay. It can be. If Elon says you can't do it, then yeah, violate the TOS of Twitter. But in general, what you do is you write a bot or machine to go surf the web, and you can automate the login. You can act just like a real user. And then basically what you do, that stream of HTML comes into your code. You strip out what you want and just download all the content. So we can screen scrape lots of things. One thing that I did that was totally on the up and up is that I did a project for American Express way, way, way back in the day. And they had a mainframe, and we had to build a website for American Express. And we had to scrape the mainframe. So you log in as a user, hit buttons, see what's on the screen, scrape it out,
okay,
clean it up, and save it to the database. And this is what they're doing. So what I imagine what's going on here, he upped the price. The API is no longer free. Used to be that you just call the API and get the data back in the JSON data format that you could use, store in a database, do whatever. You can't do that anymore unless you pay. People didn't want to pay. So they said, fine, we won't pay. We'll just scrape it. And so obviously scraping it is a lot more intensive on the site than just calling the API, which just sends back a data stream. Now they're having to do all these requests and this ads being served up and all this other stuff that's going along with this. And so they're seeing this behavior that they caused, and they changed the behavior of the person. And now they're still trying to get at the data. So he just picked a number out of the air and just said, hey, that's the limit we're going to have. Yeah. And it's because he wanted to stop the scrapers. The odd thing about this whole thing is he sounds like he said it's a couple of hundred companies. So A, you knew who they were. B, just ban those couple of hundred.
Right.
C, you can limit the activity, and you can look at people that are doing this behaviors, but you make the limit, especially for people that are paying, kind of really high that it's something no one could do.
It's arbitrary, right?
Yeah. But it's also doesn't make the service where they're getting very valuable either. So there was a number in there. They guessed 600. You could definitely scroll through the app and get to 600 quickly.
Probably in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that was kind of dumb. And what he was saying was, hey, if you're there, he probably stopped the verified accounts from doing it. Then the people just went and created a new account that wasn't verified. Then he tried to stop those. Then they just said, fine, we'll just go straight to the website and do it. And then he couldn't stop those. And that's where he's having this ongoing battle with whoever's doing this. It seems like there'd be a better way to do this. But ultimately, they're scraping his data. He doesn't want them to. He wants them to pay for it. And what I think really what you're seeing here is with Reddit, with Stack Overflow, with Twitter is after 10 or 15 years of losing money, these companies will start having to say, all right, how do we monetize these companies? And apparently, Elon hasn't figured a way to monetize Twitter yet. And so you can push $8 out there, but apparently enough people said, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's worth $8 to me. I don't care. I mean, like that much. And the data is valuable. The users are valuable because people are scraping it for other means, but they don't want to pay Elon for it. Now, oddly enough, he didn't name check the companies. What he could have done is just name check the company. He said, Microsoft's doing this, OpenAI, Bard, which we know who they are. Every news organization, every news organization's doing it. New York Times to get their news feeds and those kind of things. So like he could have name checked them, but he didn't go that far. So I sympathize with him at some degree, but here's what I told you when we talked about this a little bit this morning. What was shocking was it seemed like they discussed the solution for like 5 minutes and said, let's do
if
that.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was literally the first thing they wrote on the board and like, let's roll with it. without any other discussion. Yeah, exactly. Hold on, let me just hold on in my pocket here. I wrote a number down before I went to bed last night. Here we go. Apparently, I wrote down 600. Let's go with that.
And then, because it was funny when it happened. I was at home. My son came to me and he said, "Hey, man, someone sent me a tweet. I'm not on Twitter and I can't read it." And I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "No, it says that I don't have an account. I can't read it." I'm like, "You just can't go to the Twitter site?" And this was like Friday or Saturday. And I looked it up, and sure enough, for a while, he just said, "You can't look at the site anymore," which is the weirdest thing for a website. You want people to read it, actually.
Right.
So
that's it. We're closed. We're taking our ball and going home.
Exactly.
That's it. He did. He did exactly that.
So I think what you're seeing here is, and I've been on Elon's. I'm sort of a fan of Elon Musk, and I've supported his purchase of Twitter for various reasons. But from the technology side, at first I thought people were just piling on him. But as these things come out over and over again, it seems like designing software systems, communicating software changes, coming up with ideas isn't his best foray. I'm not saying I'm smarter than Elon Musk, but like I can tell you if I was in that meeting last week and they said 6,000, and I would say, how long would it take someone to scroll to 6,000 posts?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that less than 10 minutes? Then that's a bad idea.
Right.
What if we made it 160,000? How long would it take someone to stroll that? 8 hours? Okay, let's do that. Let them scrape it for 8 hours. Mm-hmm. And then keep banning the people that are doing it until they can't do it anymore. So that seems like network security could have stepped in, figured out. They could have done an IP block. There's a lot of things they could have done other than this hurt every single user on the account.
Yeah, I think there's probably 50 technical solutions to this that could have been put into place, but we know why they didn't do them, because they don't have the people to do them. There's not the technical staff there like there was more. They don't have people sitting around waiting for stuff to happen. They just don't have the staff there to do it. They've cut it back so much that it's just there's nobody there. Hence, I can't get my account reinstated. There's incorrectly suspended. There's nobody there to do it.
I think somebody's there. But what I think is really happening is he has fired a lot of people. And what happens when you're like a extreme micromanager and you micromanage people to the degree to where you just fire them? I can imagine them being in the meeting going, "What do you want to do?" And while the guys have 50 ideas, they're either afraid to voice them or they get yelled at or whatever it is. So they just wait for it. And then Elon says, "Make it 600." And they're like, "Okay."
Right.
If that's what you want, we'll make it 600. And they did. And, the rest is history. So I don't know. But the one thing is true is I never thought Twitter would be in trouble. But I really think this is one of those, if someone could come up and handle, 20 million accounts, Twitter would be done. The only thing that has saved them is no one can do it yet.
Tomorrow, Meta Threads launches tomorrow. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I'm guessing that Threads launches tomorrow based on what happened this weekend. We knew it was coming anyway, but I'm guessing it's tomorrow and it's pushed up because they're like, whoa.
Gas pedal.
Exactly. They're like, man, people are leaving on droves because they did. Blue Sky shut down signups over the weekend. Even if you were invited, your invites wouldn't work over the weekend because you couldn't. They had too many accounts sign up. They're up to 180,000 users. They put 20-something thousand in a day. That's a lot for something that's in a beta. Yeah. So the massive, people are migrating. They really are. I know that's small numbers for Twitter, really, but it's large numbers too. It's larger than it's ever been. So people are looking. This Meta thing tomorrow could be the thing. We'll see. I'm sure we'll talk about it next week.
I bet you it's somewhere between 10 and 20 million that are the core of Twitter. It may be 100 million, but it's seemingly, unfortunately, Blue Sky wasn't ready to say yes, which I always say when you start a company, be ready to say yes in case something happens. And they weren't ready to do it, and they might miss their window. And if Meta rolls something out that can scale like that, which they have Instagram, they have Facebook.
Yep.
They have the built-in user base already.
You would think they could just turn it on and then everyone moves over and Twitter could be gone like MySpace. I mean, and
I think they can. They haven't said Threads is going to be a beta of any kind or anything. They just said it launches tomorrow. It's in the App Store. It's there. You can pre-download it. it's ready to roll. I have it ready on my phone. You keep your same Instagram handle, which is the first thing they say on the thing. It's like the first thing they talk about is keep your handle from Instagram. It's like the number one image they show on the app.
Right.
So yeah, exactly. So they know what they're doing, and I think they're just going to roll it out and let everybody sign up. I think it could be one of those days where it could be an app where it is the most amount of signups for an app in a single day. Could be tomorrow. I think we really could. I think we're going to see those numbers come out, and it'll be hundreds of thousands in a day.
Yep. Yeah, I think it beats ChatGPT. You think that those numbers?
Yeah, for a single day. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Paul, what do you think? You're a big Twitter user.
Oh yeah, with my billion subscribers or followers. I don't even know what the hell you call them on Twitter. Like Twitter, I only use it because like I heard for work I needed Twitter to talk to other developer advocates. But it wasn't like a thing where I was really, really like vocal on. So to me, it's like whatever's happening, I'm fine either way. What's going to happen? Although like, it'd be nice to move somewhere else. So, the tech Twitter people have to start from scratch again, it's because to me, like, I don't know, I think I am still trying to like, there are some usefulness for Twitter, but I'm still trying to figure out like why Twitter exists in the first place. Because sometimes like I feel like it's people just saying how cool they are. Like, like look how cool I am. I'm like, I don't like I block those people. I don't care. Like it's but in terms of the web scraping stuff and stuff like that, I think, I'm kind of curious with everything that, talking about AI, how like I'm sure that he's using it as an excuse, but the idea that a lot of these AI models were trained on public data and supposedly maybe some not public data, which like they might have gotten either way. So not just like for this Twitter case, but in general, you see what's happening on Reddit. You see like other companies. Are we going to move to this idea that for you to be able to explore the content or use content, you need to pay for it just to kind of stop people from using your data in a way that they shouldn't? But at the same time, I think it's kind of, aggressive the way they're changing Twitter. You have like customers who got used to it to a certain way, and they're basically, like you said, leaving in droves, going to other platforms. And so it's like, what's their play? Don't they have like smart people at the company being like, hey, if we keep making these changes, like everybody will leave and join a different platform? So I don't know. But
I think when they write the book about this, Elon is going to go down as the worst IT manager in history. He may have invented the electric car and fly rockets to space, and they'll say that's amazing. But I think this thing could be the millstone that reflects on his legacy. Jeff Bezos doesn't have something like this where it's just like this massive failure at this level. And typically these guys don't fail. That's what's so crazy about it. It's like he could have hired anybody to run this.
To be honest, it depends who you talk to. I think he did a wonderful job with Twitter. I mean, he made it like most of the people I didn't like left. So like there's less content I have to consume from them. I am upset.
Oh, thanks. I see how it is, Paul.
I was about to say my second point. I think they should pay more attention because I'm upset that Kevin left because he's literally the only one who listens to the songs I make, which is apparently Twitter is not a good space to share your terrible music on, whatever. But at the same time, it's been a lot quieter, and I don't know if it's because of the changes Elon is doing or because I'm actively blocking users from my Twitter feed. I still don't know what improved my Twitter experience, but I just like the fact that everybody's on Twitter. But when I ask someone like a serious question about Twitter, they're like, any opinion or advice on Twitter is a dumpster fire. So like nothing is actually real. And so they'll give me real advice off Twitter. And then when I go on Twitter, it's like how to become a developer in like 3 days or how to start a SaaS $1 billion SaaS company in 6 months or
there's a lot of that.
Or like, I can't even, like the trends they had, like I forgot the one, like as
drop shipping.
Drop shipping, like, and then like the post where they say some stupid stuff for engagement, like as a developer, and then they talk about complete nonsense. And I was just like, what is like, I just wasted like 5 minutes of my life. Just, so,
my favorite is, as a developer, do you wear shoes?
Yeah.
And you see people in there answering it, like, yes, all the time.
So when I was going to say, when I started Twitter, like I knew like the biggest mistake I made in my life is to associate it with my workplace, because now I can't troll post people. I have so many things I want to say to someone, and the fact that I can, and I'm too lazy to like start a different Twitter account. But I was just like the type of things people post are like asking for a response. It's like, man, I can't even help myself. It's like
I think it's time for a fake account, Paul, to let the real Paul out.
I think so.
The real Paul out.
That reminds me of Donna Meagle's posts, Twitter posts from Parks and Rec when she's making fun of Leslie Knope.
That's the best.
I usually use Twitter for just live things. Like if something is like happening right now, I will go to Twitter to like find out. Like, if my, Netflix isn't working, I'll hop on Twitter. Is Netflix down? Or like, anything that's like live happening right now. Like when I'm waiting for like verdicts to come back in court cases and things like that. All of that I usually go to Twitter for. So I'm curious how Threads is going to like maybe take that mantle on with the live.
I just hope that a lot of these posts, and sadly they'll probably continue to be on other platforms, but I just went on Twitter just to see like, has anything changed? The first post that came up to me, as a programmer, do you use GitHub? And I'm like, what a dumb question that is. Like, what do you even expect to get from like this thread? And like, there's like so many retweets, and like, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. Some of the Twitter threads and the Twitter kind of like that, what makes a good Twitter post, and I'll call it good for the algorithm, right? That feeds like the things and gets a lot of likes and a lot of retweets, is often just terrible content.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
You start reading it, and it's just bad. I'm like, your Twitter thread's just bad. It's about like when the NFT thing was and the whole crypto thing was happening. It was like, Twitter was unusable at that point. It was just bad.
I'm going to start a thread that, of course, like nothing good comes out of my mind. So here it goes. I'm going to start a thread on Twitter how I'm convinced that not wearing pants while I'm coding makes me type faster. And I'm just going to really just talk about how it just changed my game. And I'm like a 10x developer.
There you go. And you're like, and I have stats to prove it. Here you go.
Exactly. Sure. Like,
That's awesome. Okay, let's move on to our next story here then. This is the high school that gave everyone the same password. Absolute genius move happened here. So, Oak Park and River Forest High School in Illinois, their students use the Google Suite. So they're using Gmail, Docs, Google Drive, all that good stuff that comes with the G Suite. They had a cybersecurity audit from a third-party vendor, which is great, which seems awesome, right? Like, that's great, because I'm sure most schools don't even do that, right? Which seems like a good idea. But during the process of that, the third-party vendor managed to somehow, I don't know if it's the click of a button or something, the technical details weren't specified, but they somehow managed to reset everybody's password, which basically cut everybody out of their account. So now nobody can get in. It's like, oops, that's not a problem. And then they didn't say who did this, but somebody then thought, well, we need to fix this. Everybody needs to get back into their account. So let's just give everybody a new password. So let's just change everybody's password to change me, with the password being change me with the @ sign for the A and an exclamation point at the end, which I would just say, by the way, if you put this into here, let me actually go and grab this password, this really, really strong, awesome password, and we feed it into this thing right here. It is very weak, and it takes 7 seconds to crack. So it's not even a good password, by the way. It's just not. But if you do something like that, look, it'll take centuries to crack. So just so you know, your passwords, make them 20 characters, make them random, make them 30 characters. Use a password manager. Please don't ever make your password change me, despite how smart you think you're being by changing the A and putting an exclamation point at the end.
Password 123.
Exactly. Password 123. 7 seconds. Like, Paul's example before of what was it? Paul, monkey 123.
Yeah, it was like
monkey,
like one of the exclamation points.
There you go.
That's better.
35
it's
seconds.
Still better. 35 seconds. Jesus.
It's slightly better in the bigger picture. Still not a good password. So just so they know, I hope this wasn't the cybersecurity vendor that did this, because they should be shot anyway. It's so bad. It's so bad. But the bigger picture, you now have 3,000 students with the same password. So, guess what any student could do? Sign into any other student's account. And guess what students did? Signed into everybody else's account.
Weird.
So what happens is, yeah, exactly. So you know what happens to these things when you sign in. I'm guessing what happened was you sign in, you put this password in and says, hey, what's your new password? And they were forced to give it a new password. They gave it a new password, again, locking everybody out because they changed the password again. So the quote here was great. They had a student's mom tried to get into their son's account. They couldn't get in. And because somebody had already logged in and reset the password. So what did they do? Turned around and logged into a few other people's accounts just for good measure. So the mom unknowingly basically hacked another bunch of students' accounts, like just to prove the point, I guess. Yeah, I was able to read all of their email, their papers, their classwork, everything. I thought that was the greatest part of the story. She doesn't even know what she's done. She doesn't even know that she's hacked somebody else's account. Like, I thought that was the funniest part of the story to me. So Sarah, how do you think something like so seemingly simple gets overlooked?
So I was telling you guys before, from an IT manager, I've been an IT manager for 20 years. This hurts my soul. Like the whole situation hurts physically. Oh my gosh. I will say, having spent that much time in this space, the worst IT departments are government and education.
Yeah.
Like just terrible IT departments. And
it's very worrying.
I exactly, because this is like government. This is how cities get hacked. We've seen that happen time and time again. This is how, education systems also get compromised. My curiosity here, well, we'll address the other thing. How this happens is that there are not smart people in charge of the IT department. Okay. That is the main reason that this happens, because they don't have the experience and they don't have the funding to have like a proper IT department. So there's that. The other thing is, was it just the students or were teachers? Because if it was everybody, it would have been everybody. Did they reset the teacher's passwords? Also, the principal's password?
Well, I'm sure they did.
Right. I mean, but did they change it to change me? Like, that's what I want to know, because I would assume if somebody was going to do this in the first place, they're not thinking of separating out like what's the student account and what's the teacher account, depending on their like group rules and things like that. I mean, who knows if they even have any proper like structure in their system because of something like this. So like obviously what should have happened is they should have first changed all the passwords. Like if they didn't have the capability to randomize it right away, change all the passwords and then make sure you've got the random generator and figure out how to do that before you send something like this out.
Can I ask a question? I mean, I was reading this story and I'm just like literally confused. Like, this was a Google account?
So actually, most schools use something like Canvas, which is a Google-based account. So
yeah, I don't think it's actually through it's not an @Gmail account. It's like it's just using G Suite, so you can have your own domain on Google. It just uses Google kind of like apps on the back end.
Yeah, so my kids are in the Alpine School District, so it's like an Alpine School District account, but they log into like a Gmail interface.
Okay. It seems like they would have given out the one-use link reset. It's a one-time use.
Right.
You would you would think. But apparently
when you click the link, it forces you to change the password and then you're in.
Typically, in 99.9 of situations, that's usually what happens. Apparently.
Why does this option even exist? To have the ability to mass change everybody's password in one thing to the same. It shouldn't even exist, right? It shouldn't even be an option.
Some security expert with his buddies like, we're just going to leave this just in case. No one, is really stupid enough to do this. But I could imagine like they're sitting there and someone's like, oh my gosh, we got to change everybody's password. And someone's like typing the password. They're typing it CHA. And then their buddy behind them
change
like,
that to an app.
Go back.
And their buddy behind them is like, yeah. That's not secure enough. Like you need to add like an exclamation point and an @ sign for 100. That's probably like thousands of users. Like you do they not know how passwords work? Like literally, do they think like
No,
just
apparently.
because you're Kevin and you have the same password as me, because you're Kevin, it just only shows you your stuff? And because I'm like, what are they thinking? Like, I bet like, and the newspaper, they didn't say like nobody got fired for that decision. So it's probably someone who's like on top of the chain made that dumb
'cause it's
decision.
government.
And then they're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just amazed that somebody's parent was like, okay, like, who are the teachers and faculty that I know? And let me check if they have higher access level and what damage can I do? And it's like,
Yes.
and imagine
Well,
like
that
the stuff they're
happened. They
sharing.
both say
Yeah,
it.
I would have.
By the way, this sat this way for at least a day.
Yeah.
This wasn't
Oh.
fixed in hours. They did
My
not fix it until the next
God.
day.
The other thing that makes it funny is that this happened during a cybersecurity audit.
Right. That was kind of my
Who
point,
are
because
they
the
on?
story doesn't say exactly. The story doesn't say who did this. So I'm not sure if it was the third party or it was the school that did it. I can't tell. It doesn't really say. It just says that it happened.
So they hired a firm to see how secure they were, and the firm said, "Here's what you need to do: change all the passwords to the same one."
That'll
let's make it secure.
Soup secure.
And we'll get back to you.
Although that
Yeah.
could be the case. That could be the case where they did hire
Tinfoil
like
hat,
a
man.
like a firm to check how secure their systems are, and someone did that social engineering, convinced someone that they should change, and they did. And now they're going to get like a huge bill being like, hey, you asked us to test how secure you were, and here you are. We fooled you into giving
You
everybody the
failed
same
real
password. You
bad.
failed miserably. And by the way, here's the bill. Although I know that didn't happen because that would just be too stupid. But I just can't believe it.
Exactly.
Like, it's for everybody to change.
Actually, in my tinfoil hat scenario, it's like there's one student who has a dad who's failing high school, and he goes, "I can fix that for you.
Yeah.
I got this. I got this.
I got this. We'll change all the passwords. We'll log in. We'll get those grades fixed right away."
Yeah. So I
Amazing.
really just think that we need either more funding for government IT, or, they need to hire some competent people. I mean, there's a ton of competent IT managers out there. Yeah.
It's just insane. It's insane.
I think we don't need to spend more money on IT in the government. We spend plenty of money. They just need to hire competent people. They have
Right.
plenty of money to do this.
Sure.
They should have had like a poster with like a kitten next to like a bank teller, and that says, "Would you share your PIN number with somebody else? If not, then it's like that's how passwords work. Like you don't want other people to know somebody else. Like if they had like that poster, like it would have saved somebody. But imagine like
mention,
they obviously
they
didn't
sent the
say
password over email, which is like unencrypted too. So like,
Oh
Right.
God.
Like,
What's
seriously?
wild to me is that like we're here making fun of like Elon Musk with the stuff he's doing on Twitter. Then there's going to be somebody else where their circle of friends is going to make fun of because they gave the same password. That poor soul. That I appreciate that they didn't share their name because oh my gosh, for the
Right.
like imagine they live in a small town, like their name is going to be like, instead of like Bob whatever, it'll be like, hey, that dude who's used
change me guy.
Yeah, change me guy.
Yeah,
What's
change
your
me guy.
password? To be honest, I would have like literally like went to the teller and be like, it's changed me. Give me all the money. It probably is. Although, so here's the thing. Like I worked for a company, which I'm not going to name because it's pretty ridiculous. It was on my LinkedIn, and please, I hope they change their password. The name of their company was their password.
Oh.
And as a hacker, like the first thing you would do, it's like, let me, like, I know it's dumb, but I'm going to try it anyway. And I kept telling him, like, why don't you like change your password? And the owner was really crazy. He's like, his excuse was like, then I will forget. I was like, oh, Jesus. But the other
you're thinking
day,
the whole time,
good
maybe
reason.
you should forget it.
yeah, it's so insane. And I'm like why and I tell everybody, and everybody there was like, yeah, we know, but like he doesn't want to change it. And I'm just like,
So you want to know
That's
who the like worst culprits are for cybersecurity issues is the owner of the company. Like we were doing a project of trying to force all of our clients to enable two-factor authentication. The biggest pushback we got was always from the like head of the company, the owner of the company. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we want to make everybody in your company more secure. And you're like, yeah, that's really inconvenient. So I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
I believe it. I believe that's true.
Because
it is. I mean, that's the thing. It is, but you've got to be willing to do those things. That's the thing. To make it secure. I'll just. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Oh no! I was going to say one of my friends. He just sits in Discord waiting for someone to say something like that, and then he'll be like, "What company do you work for?" Interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he'll be like,
"Oh, exactly.
Do you have any sisters? Wow, that's cool. I have a sister too, and she has a pet cat. Do you have any cats? Oh, okay." And then he'll just write this list of a bunch of people that on his free time he could explore.
What's your mom's maiden name?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Like, where were you born exactly?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'll just leave this story with, please everybody, use strong passwords, use a password manager to keep them, and you won't have half of these issues. It'll be way more secure. So
the other thing too is just, I'll throw my 2 cents in, is the password needs to be over 15 characters. Anything under 15 can be cracked almost instantly now.
Just make them 20 or 30 these days. With a password generator, just set it to 30. Random numbers, characters, uppercase, lowercase, special characters. Most sites these days will accept that as a password. If they don't, you can generally in the password creation tools just turn off whichever one they don't. Sometimes they don't accept certain types of special characters. Just turn that off. Uppercase, lowercase numbers. If it's 30 characters long, it's generally going to be good enough.
Two-factor everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't even need to be random characters. It can be words as long as it's long enough. Right. So like length is strength. So you could have a 30 character passphrase where it's, like your favorite quote from a movie. You can only use it on one site because you should have a different password for every single site. But like, it doesn't have to be all super crazy. You can have it like be actual words, but just as long as it's long enough.
Which is probably when you have your master password, whatever password manager you're using, that should be your master password, something that you're never going to forget. Because if you do forget it, all your passwords.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to our next story then. Let's talk about this new EU AI law proposal that is out there. So it's called the Artificial Intelligence Act, or the AIA. And they've been working on this since 2021. This has been kind of in the works for a minute, but recent changes to AI and recent additions have had them add some more things to this as of June this year. So 2 big things for June this year being they want to put a ban on the use of AI technology in biometric surveillance. So that's a big one. And secondly, that generative AI systems such as ChatGPT need to disclose AI-generated content. So say that it has been generated by an AI. So this is a classification system based on health and safety risks. So think of this as being like, what is the risk to humanity for this? And where in one of these 4 buckets does it fit? So they have 4 buckets, then being unacceptable, high, limited, and minimal. Limited and minimal being things that are okay. You have to prove they're limited or minimal. High, they have to jump through some extra hoops. And if it's deemed unacceptable, it is literally banned. It is outlawed. You cannot make something that is deemed unacceptable. So the Artificial Intelligence Act proposes steep non-compliance penalties as well. So if you're a company and you violate this, we're talking about up to $30 million or 6% of your global income. That's a lot of money. And also you can be penalized if you submit false or misleading documentation to the regulators as well. So they're already thinking ahead on that stuff, being like, I know you're going to try and get around it, so we're going to have heavy penalties for that as well.
Volkswagen.
So, right. Exactly. Yep. So there has been some pushback from company executives. They wrote an open letter stating, and I quote, "In our assessment, the draft legislation would jeopardize Europe's competitiveness and technological sovereignty without effectively tackling the challenges we are and we will be facing." So they're basically saying that it's not going to solve anything and you're just going to put us behind everybody else. So, Paul, let me ask you, do you think these look like good regulations? Is it good to have these kind of regulations? And do you think the companies are justified in their concerns that it's going to leave them behind the marketplace?
I think like the truth is somewhere in the middle. But I'm just gonna call suspect how like 6%, it's like a pretty interesting number. It's like I pay 6% in taxes, like every dollar I spend for food, and I'm okay with it. And so for a company, they could be like, oh, we still get to do all this crazy stuff. All we have to do is pay 6% to them. And the EU is like, hey, we get 6%. No matter what, let them do their thing. We're getting paid. Everybody's happy. We're making the money. So I'm like, what's the, kind of like, is it a way for them to be like, hey, how can we enter the AI market and make some money? Or they're legitimately trying to figure out a way to help people? And if so, like, I don't know, because based on what they're doing, they're already behind in like certain things that I don't think they even understand what AI does, from my perspective. Like, because it seems like everything that they're trying to regulate, like 2021, like they started, think of like where AI was, where it's today. It's just, they'll never catch up. And so I feel like they need, like, if for me to take this like seriously, which I think certain things of AI should be regulated, but I think it needs to be done by like experts in the field, and all the companies come together and they all, like, not like one EU agrees, but it's a bunch of artificial companies that come together and be like, hey, we should probably think of these things. And they work together with a governing body to come up with some sort of thing. Because to me, it's like, I kind of see it being partly a way to make money and partly, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I don't.
So you don't think the proposed fines are high enough?
I don't think they're fine. No, exactly. They're definitely not high enough for it. 6%. Oh, the world, like, oh, you tell me I could get away with murder, but all I have to do is pay 6%. It's like, of course I'll pay 6%. And so to me, this is why, in my opinion, this is like laughable, because when's the last time like a company took that type of thing seriously? Like, look how many companies get sued now, and they're like, it's like, we'll act now and ask for forgiveness later, because, they're like, oh, we could afford it. And like, for instance, I forgot what the term for it. When like court of law wants to teach someone a lesson, they'll do some ridiculous fine, like 40 years in prison, $1 million, that it's like, because they want to make an example of the company. Here, they're not making an example of anything. They're just saying like, hey, you just pay 6%, and like, you could do whatever you want. That's how I read it. Like. You could do what you like, because they will pay. They will gladly pay the profits that they're making. And I think instead of like chasing the money, because that's all I'm going to say, like, they're doing, it's, in my opinion.
This could be based on per incident or something, though, don't forget, too. So yeah. They may say, well, every incident that you did this generative AI that you didn't disclose it, and you've made 200,000 images that you didn't disclose, that's 200,000 lots of that 30 million euros. Now that puts you out of business.
So here's what I don't like about it. It's for downstream app developers. So an individual can be held reliable for this. And so what I don't want to see happen in the software industry is that suddenly you make an app and you got to go to the regulator to get permission to use it. And we can know that Microsoft and all the big boys can lobby up and they can get anything passed. I'm trying to make AI chef, and it makes breakfast with mushrooms, and suddenly I get fined. So because it's false or misleading, or no one would eat that. Or
and mushrooms
whatever.
are gross.
No one would eat that.
So whatever the reason is, that's why I don't like it. Like, I think we don't want to get in the place where building a software system is some kind of regulatory activity that you got to go to the regulators and submit your app to, and they determine whether you can release it or not. I don't like that at all. I think that does limit what you can do. So if I was an app developer in Europe, I would be upset. I would be kind of like, hey, what's up, man? I mean, like, you can just decide you don't like my app. And we know that the big guys are going to lobby up. They're the ones writing this law anyway. Right. And I still believe this to this day, that OpenAI is trying to influence all these things, and they're doing what's pull the ladder up behind them. Like, 100%. Hey, it's open and anyone can use it. You just got to use ours. So, and like, we're writing the rules. No one else can make an LLM because it's really dangerous, and we're the only people that can do it. And I think that's the thing that I see this, because Microsoft is involved in every one of these things, and you can see where this is going. OpenAI being the only LLM that you can use.
Yeah, and
because it's certified.
And I agree with you. That's kind of what they're doing is, like you said, pulling up the ladder and not letting a competition catch up. And this is why I respect Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, because he, at least till now, keeps saying that they're going to make their LLM models, open source. And I think we need more open source for people to have a choice and an option. Because if you let all these powerful organizations kind of be the only game in town, then it's like we're going to be beholden to whatever they say. Because if you have the technology that allows you to do things faster, better, it gives you a superpower. And if it's not accessible to others, or there's a paywall behind it, or like whatever they decide, it's crazy. And at the same time, to me, like, I'm all for the dystopian future where the few organizations own the world. So I'm like, maybe I should say this is the greatest thing happening. And I think they need to be like 4 companies that control the world, and then eventually they build Max, and the Max will fight in Antarctica, like whatever, like that movie, whatever, No,
every restaurant is Taco Bell.
Yeah, every restaurant is
exactly.
Oh God,
Sure,
like
Gatorade.
When are we getting the seashells? That's all I
am. Seriously, like I know it's like completely like off topic for a second, because we are talking about this dystopian future happening. So there's a movie that I saw on YouTube called Growth Gap, basically saying how the population is in decline, and basically exactly what that movie Idiocracy like predicted, where all the smart people stop having babies, is literally like happening. And I'm like, oh God, like where's this world going?
Political suasion, because I want to know what the political side of this is. And they keep talking about, well, we don't want disinformation coming out. But the question is, who decides what that is? Because a lot of times, if it's super, super broad, then they're gonna fall into one side of the argument, depending on who's in power. And I don't like that. I think that I understand that these things can say like stupidly wrong things, but I don't think that's the threat to society they think it is. I don't think that people are consulting ChatGPT as the all-knowing oracle for everything.
Except for that lawyer.
Yeah, except for that lawyer did, But he got found out. Other people have ability to have a little bit discernment. In other words, like, it seems like the government thinks that we can't decide what's true anymore at all. And then sometimes, in some cases, it is difficult. You got to know. But if you have...
We literally can't. We really cannot. Yeah, you may be able to, but there are too many people out here that cannot.
My counter argument to that is that it was happening before AI, and it's like it's.
I agree. It's not an AI problem. I'm saying this is probably more of a this is probably more of a social media problem than an AI problem.
It's more just a bunch of people, exactly, like, and so if anything, there might be a solution with AI to stop all of that.
There are way too many flat earthers out here, right? Think about that.
Blown away.
Think about
the fact that
it
came back, like, was it a couple of years ago? Somebody like so brought that back.
The fact that there are actual people out here, like, that aren't meme, they're not from 4chan, they're not like joking out here. They genuinely believe it.
What was that documentary we watched, Kevin? That was on.
Oh, it was the best. It was the absolute best. I forget, because the last line through the whole movie, like, into like just absolute junk. What was that movie? That was a funny movie.
You gotta send to me.
I gotta know what this movie is.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. It'll be in the show notes. I'll figure it out.
It's a movie about flat earthers, and they go around and they just show these different conferences these people go through, and they follow like 3 or 4 prominent flat earthers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil it for you. It is very funny.
Yeah,
me and Kevin are not flat earthers. We watched it for the entertainment value only. So I just want to get that out.
It's pure entertainment.
It is so funny.
I need this movie.
You have to watch it, but you have to watch it all the way to the last 30 seconds of this movie.
Yeah. Literally the last line.
If you watch the last 30 seconds of the movie,
oh my God, you got to send.
It'll make you throw pillows at your television.
Here's the funny thing. I love a good conspiracy theory, and for me, it is what it is. It's just a fun story that I want to watch because I have nothing better to do. And so I watch these documentaries made about all these stupid topics, and I want to see like how convincing and how subtly do they go off the rails and try to sell you on the point. And I basically gauge the movie, like, how long does it take to get to that point where it's like, it's bullshit, it's BS, sorry for swearing. I'm like, this is it, they don't have it. And then this is how I grade this movie. Like, where I'm so convinced, like, I don't believe it, but like, that they did it so subtly that I almost became a believer, except it's complete.
It's so
lunacy.
well done. You almost fell for it.
Exactly. And this is how I grade this movie. It's like so well done that I'm like, you know what? If I was like, maybe, except, you know, it's.
This is like it's on the internet, therefore it must be true.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. Like, well, they made a movie, therefore it must be true. Like,
I think the movie's called Behind the Curve. It was in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds about right. It was on Netflix or something, wasn't it, when we originally watched it? Because you'd watched it first, and he's like, you got to watch this. I was like, okay. I got
So Kevin was doubtful, and then he watches it. He said, that's the funniest thing ever. And it was so funny. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to.
I need to go back and watch it.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
Back to the EU thing, and Bobby's point, though, really quick, is I want to know who is the governing body that is going to be putting these things in the buckets. Like, who determines what's going to be high risk, what's going to be unacceptable?
It's a panel, I guess, basically. It's a group. I don't know who's in that group, but there's some kind of panel of something.
Who elected this group? Like, where do they come from?
It's
like, ugh.
I was going to say, it's the same people that were behind things in that book, 1984. I don't know if you read it. Like, it's the same organization. Same organization, I think. You know?
Maybe.
Oh, God.
Okay, let's move on. The future is finally here. Not just Skynet and flamethrowing robo-dogs, but we also now have flying cars, too. We have the trifecta here. This is like the last couple of weeks, we've been really living in the future. So a company called, I think it's Aleph. I think it's Aleph Aeronautics.
Sure.
Have a Model A. That's what it's called, a Model A. Catchy name. It is 100% electric. It drives like a car. It flies like I don't know what, not like a plane.
Probably more like a drone, I would think.
Yeah, more like a quadcopter of some kind. When it flies, by the way, it tilts on its side to fly.
It's the dumbest thing
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But this thing does vertical takeoff and landing. So, they don't need roads where they're going, as Doc Brown would say. Where we're going, we don't need roads, right?
I was going to get into Back to the Future.
It literally hovers and then it flies. Kind of crazy. 200 miles driving, 110 miles flying. I guess it uses a lot more battery to fly than it does to drive. $300,000. You can pre-order it for just $1,500. You can put your name on the list. These are set to go into production in fourth quarter 2025. But the biggest news here about this is that it received a FAA, which is Federal Aviation Administration, special worthiness certification. So basically what this allows them to do now is not only produce it, but also test fly it. So this isn't a certification that says, yes, you can sell them and people can fly them and you can drive them fly them into their yards. That's not what this is. This basically allows them to kind of test it and get to the point where they maybe potentially also be able to sell it. So, Bobby, what do you think? Does this thing, firstly, is it vaporware, or do you think we're going to see these in the air in 2025?
I don't think you're going to see them in 2025. I'm still trying to find a YouTube video of this thing actually flying.
There isn't any. Maybe. There aren't any. It doesn't exist because there's no video of this.
You won't find anything. Yeah. And if you will find something, it's the worst possible CGI representation of it that you've ever seen.
No, that's funny that we all look for the same thing. Like, where's the demo of this thing? One doesn't exist because I'm guessing they couldn't test it because they didn't have the certification, is my guess.
They could have tested it. How did they get a certificate if we don't know if it flies or not?
No
we
idea.
Don't know if it's airworthy. I mean, I don't I think the certificate's junk. And I'm with flying cars. I'll believe it when I see it. Second, how hard is it to actually fly? And 300,000 is kind of expensive, but there's Lamborghinis that cost more, so it's not like it's outrageous. I mean, so a helicopter is more than 300,000. So I don't.
Yeah, it's less than a plane for a lot of planes for sure.
So if rich people are going to get this anyway, but the problem is there's a lot of limitations to it. It's 100 miles. So okay, so could you fly in downtown New York? Could you get from Manhattan to Brooklyn? Maybe. No. I guess you could. So maybe
you never get a license to fly it from.
I'm sure. It just doesn't seem like it's really practical.
I mean,
no one said how fast it goes in the air. Is it super slow?
That's what I wanted to know, is how fast it is.
Don't know. Pilot's license or driver's license? Don't know. Both? Don't know. If you're driving it, you need a driver's license. If you're flying it, you need a pilot's one.
I think the only thing that works is that it has to work like a modern drone that we have today, where you can put in a flight plan and go from point A to point B. It can take off and it can land itself. Other than that, we're fools to give people a flying car because they're going to wreck these things for years. I mean, I don't know if you go, it seems like every day when you go driving, it's just that people just don't look when they're driving now, So it's like, what are we doing? I was talking to Kevin on the phone the other day, and I was just driving down a road. It's a residential road. And this guy just backs out in this 2-way road while he's looking at his phone and had to slam on the brake and almost T-bone him. It's like, it's a busy road, man. Maybe you ought to look both ways,
Maybe get off your phone for a minute.
Maybe. I just think it's dangerous unless we have an autopilot.
Yeah.
It's a scam. It's like imagine I told you I have something and you show it to me. I can't show it to you, but I want you to pre-order it. For I fell for too many of those, and they have so much mystique about it, and then you watch. They should have never put out that video that they did because it's complete trash and garbage. And it really doesn't excite you. Here's a real company that I could stand behind. They're not trying to pretend to be a goddamn flying car. They have a working thing that actually flies and works. And it's the same design. The only thing the other company did, they took that and they just put a
body on it.
Ugly looking body with holes in it because it's not a flying car.
It had wheels.
You're
though.
hiding.
This doesn't have wheels.
You don't need wheels. It's a goddamn flying thing that actually flies. They have a video of
this
it working.
This isn't a flying car, then, is it? This is a. I guess.
And that's the whole point I'm saying. The thing that they build is not a flying car. They're trying to scam you. I'm going to call it for what it is. Until Bobby said, I believe it when I see it. A flying car. We all know what a flying car is. This is not a flying car. This is a drone. Believable, it's made. But they're trying to sell you a drone as if it's a flying car. And so to me, I'm not sure they're look at this. You could buy one and it's $100,000 right there. And it works and it flies. And let me ask you a question. How come these people able to test their goddamn vehicle?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? How are they able to get stuff? Because they did everything the right way. They're not scamming you.
Did they get their FAA certificate?
I was going to say that's why Bobby said that certificate's bunk.
Dude, they just wanted to create some newsworthiness and come up with some ideas. To me, it's don't build hype when you don't have the product yet. You know what I mean? These people obviously have the product. It works. It flies. And so to me, even if you compare the websites, they even spent more effort on their website than the previous company. And so to me,
the website's pretty bad.
Yeah. And so to me, it's complete nonsense. And I watched the presentation, the keynote, and the dude had eyeglasses, and he literally looked like this dude who's trying to sell you some snake oil in the alley. He's like, hey, let me get this. I need my glasses so you can't see that I'm lying to you completely. Oh yeah, it's a car with the thing. It's not a car.
So I watched the release too, and what I was laughing at was he had it covered up and all these stuff in there, and he had to run around and pull it off. They couldn't even get the reveal right.
It was break.
Hold on a second, let me get the other curtain, and it's he was just running around.
Literally, it's the same.
It is funny. It's funny that we all had the same instinct for this too, because literally my question to you was, is it going to be vaporware? Because that was 100%. My instinct for it. I was like, this is not gonna. This isn't coming out. We're not gonna see this. I don't know who's giving this guy the money, but I don't know if your $1,500 is refundable. I don't know.
Same people that believe in flat Earth. That's why they want to get that car, because it's not going to go up high enough, so they're not going to see that the Earth curves. And so they're we'll support this dude.
We're going to have a problem with this podcast because our YouTube comments now are going to get destroyed by flat earthers.
Okay, it's fine.
We're going to get told.
Okay, fine. Do we have to add hypothetically for the... I don't know. Did you see the person that jumped from space, parachute jump? It was done by Red Bull. It was the most insane thing I saw. I don't know. It's round. Did you see the space testing flight of the goddamn that shaped rocket that what's his name has? Bezos? Yeah. They did a test flight. You see it on YouTube with no passengers. it goes into like as far as it goes, and it's round. Like
I'm sure they have an answer for this, Paul. I'm gonna have to say we're gonna send you this documentary. I'm gonna call this a documentary because I mean, documentary implies truth.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what to call it when it's just made up.
You got to get behind the curve, man. Come on,
behind the curve. Listen, but this thing or the Jetson though, that's what we should be talking about.
This one looks
that's
interesting.
legit.
Yeah.
This is everybody. This is going to be my not.
If you show his YouTube video, Kevin, and you look at him pulling the curtain back for this, it's laughable. It's like, this is a scam all the way around. This is just a scam to get $1,500 from 10 million people.
Just in the hope. I think it said somewhere in one of the stories, by the way, I think they had 400 and something pre-orders.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
400 refundable pre-orders.
Here's the thing.
So they are refundable.
Yeah, until he disappears. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Snake oil.
FTX said you can get your money back too. That's what they said.
That's true.
And the way
salesman would offer a refund too. They're out of there.
And the way it tilts to fly, it makes no sense whatsoever.
That's weird.
So here's the thing: like, if like you see aircrafts that have propellers that go forward, you know what else they have? Wings. Right? Because the propellers pull you forward. And helicopters, like they don't go like, I mean, that's, I don't know, whatever. It's just like too much wrong with the CGI. I'm not, before people dive in the comments, I'm not an aeroscience engineer. Maybe you could fly like parallel to the ground without wings. I don't know.
No.
Somebody leave a comment. Can we get a rocket scientist in the comments?
Yeah, somebody, but I call BS on that. Like, first of all, like the way it swivels, it still be like, first of all, which way does the seat point in the car? That's what I want to know. It supposedly points towards the wheels. But if you see the CGI, when it rotates like this, the seat's pointing sideways. So what is it, like shift? Side? Like it makes zero sense.
It's a gyrosphere.
Like they're using big words for idiots to send $1,500.
I made that up, by the way.
They use gyroscope in there. Like I read through it with like you know.
Okay.
I was like, BS.
That makes sense.
I'm just saying, man, if you're watching a launch party of something as engineering focused as a flying car or a rocket, and the guy giving the presentation is wearing sunglasses indoors, just run away.
Yeah, 100%. But everybody, go check out Jetson. The greatest ever. Like I think they're private, but I would invest in this company. And they're not lying. They're like literally like dude, can someone give me $100,000?
A third of the price.
Can I get 100,000?
It's a third of the price in a year before too. 2024, 98,000. I don't know, pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, too, the video I'm watching, Kevin, just says, I'm reading it to you. AF flying car unveiling in 4K, comma, fixed the sound.
Okay, that's
multi-billion-dollar company couldn't record the sound. You know, like they couldn't get a mic. They recorded on a snowball. They got to.
What'd you say? Like he's like going around like undoing the curtain. Like you're an engineer. Like couldn't you have like engineered a good curtain something to like?
Just saying they've been doing it Broadway for a minute. I mean, maybe look at those people. They know how to do curtains.
It's amazing.
But here's what made me angry about the article. Because obviously my mind, of course, went to Back to the Future. And then it just made me angry that here in the year of 2023, I still do not have a hoverboard.
And we're late. We're late on all these things.
I am angry about the fact that I do not have a hoverboard. And no, those like hoverboards that have wheels, those are not hoverboards. They don't hover. No. Sorry.
No,
there's really strong feelings about that.
Oh, I agree. People have tried.
Nike made the shoes,
magnetic and whatever. But
Nike made the self-lacing
Hendo hover. It's not truly. It doesn't have wheels, but it's. There's a video of it.
Nike did make the shoes, and they are very, very, very expensive because they were very limited.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a pair.
Tony Hawk wrote the first hoverboard that actually hovers, but
here it is.
You need like the metal plate. And probably not get electrocuted while it flies. But it's legit. Actually, it does hover. Look.
It's hovering. Yeah, that was crazy.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Go, Tony.
Is he on it? Does he ride it?
Yeah, he rides it. Right there.
Oh, go,
look
Tony.
That's amazing. Except.
Okay. There's some dude there stopping him from
electrocuting himself.
Okay. That's
when you hire a skateboarder.
But the only reason I showed this video for you, just like the only reason I wanted to say Jetson one video, is that they both have something in common that I'm sure is no big deal for people, but the actual thing working to its capacity that it's able to.
It kind of means something.
Yeah. Instead of like some dude in glasses, all blacked out, kind of being like, I can't believe they paid me to like give the speech to like this was geez, like I'll just it was like you know how you scamming someone so hard that you even feel embarrassed, but you still have an hour of the presentation to go. That's what he looked like. You know what I mean? He's sitting there like, oh God, oh man, this can't be over fast enough. I'm glad I'm making a paycheck, but damn, I should have got darker glasses. I mean, his suit is dark, the glasses are dark, the room is dark. It's just because he's so like, I can't believe this. Like, you know, it's like when I tell my mom, when I was little, I told like my mom like a lie. You kind of feel that inside, like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like he's feeling that like a billion to like a billion. Like,
and then when he's giving his presentation, he stands underneath the screen and just stares at the crowd while the video is playing. You know, like step
you know
to
why?
the side,
Because
dude. This isn't about you. It's about the car.
The reason why he doesn't want to turn around is to see the video because it's even worse than his presentation. Like literally people sitting there, like you could have paid more money to have that video made. Like you could have totally done that.
Link to the video will be in the description if you're on YouTube, and show notes if you're listening to the podcast. Please go watch it.
Oh my God. It got me so mad. Like, it's just,
okay, let's move on to our null, not null section then. Recommendations. Let's go in order here. Bobby first. You're first on my list.
Oh, okay. So my not null for the week, I saw a couple of movies this week.
Okay. What'd you see?
So I saw last night
The Indiana Jones?
The Sound of Freedom, which was a great movie. It's an indie film and it's about child trafficking, so it's a heavy watch. But if you have kids, it's well done. It's extremely well done. Jim Caviezel's in it as an actor. So that and the other one was it's pretty good. It's a realistic story about an FBI agent who went through great extraordinary means to save these two kids out of child trafficking. It's really good. It's like Taken, but in real life, and that's what makes it kind of hard to watch. But it's PG-13. It's not gory or violent. It's just that when you know it's
sensitive
real,
topic.
It hits hard. So it's a pretty good movie though. It was really good. Yeah. The other one, Kevin Doyle gave me something, and I binged this over the weekend.
I know what this
was F1 Drive to Survive, and I'm not an F1 fan. I am now. This is the best sports show I think I've seen in 15 years. Like it is so good. Like it's so good. The character development, if you're not into F1, it's really good. But Formula One Drive to Survive is a really good. And you can just watch season 5 and you'll be an F1 fan. I don't care if you don't even like sports. Cockpit, the first person view of the people racing's great. Just the people that's in this sport itself. And the thing that I like about this is when I try to teach people to code and try to get them to a job, is we're trying to convince people to have like a really internally competitive nature. And I watch these 20 dudes who are all F1 drivers, uber competitive, just that drives me to like, man, I can do better in what I'm doing. And so like, that's the vibe I get from it. And just the amount of just engineering and effort these people go through for 20 cars, it's insane. And I like it. It's really cool. So, and then my null for the week is Indiana Jones 5. I don't need to say any more about it.
Oh,
they've ruined my childhood hero is dead. Oh my gosh.
Oh, sure.
Like, it's like, don't get me started. Like,
hold on. Did you like Kingdom of Crystal Skull?
No. There's only been 3 of these made. So, but here's the thing. People ask me this all the time. I go to movies almost every weekend. I have a Regal monthly pass. The best movie in my lifetime, when you walk out of the theater, and the way I rank best movie of all time, if you walk out of the theater, what was your best reaction given your age, where you're at, and what you thought? The best emotional reaction to it, by far for me, is Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. I can remember leaving that movie thinking like, that's so amazing. That's so great. And very few movies do that for me. New Hope, it's another one in 77. So yes, I'm younger, but that's why it's the best movie of all time. And then to go back and watch the end of this And the way they did it is just like, it's disappointing. Indiana Jones isn't the hero in this movie, and he's been the hero for the last 4. I don't know why suddenly he's not, but it's just not. So it's just disappointing.
It's literally,
and that's why it's getting killed at the box office, because people went to see something and it doesn't happen, and we're disappointed.
It's the reviews I heard. Like, I was thinking of seeing it, but after hearing what people were saying, I'm like, nope. It's like they killed it. Killed it.
Oh well.
For me, the
Fast
second
X is better.
Yeah.
I would say, to your recommendation here, Bobby, Formula One Drive to Survive, I would say the whole sport Formula One, I'm a fan anyway.
Yeah.
So for me to watch it, I've watched all of these, clearly. I watched every season from when it was on. Because it's like, I'm already a fan. So for me, it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. But I will say, if you want to be a fan of a sport, like, watch this. You will become a fan of it. It is so well done. Formula One's taken off in the US because of this Netflix series.
Yeah.
That's how good this is put together. It's like a soap opera. It has those same kind of like twists and turns and characters and teams and the people, and it's so well done and so well put together. But that's Formula One, and if you start watching it, you'll start watching it every weekend. I watch Formula One every single weekend that it's on.
And
British Grand Prix this weekend.
Yeah, the thing that motivated me about it was when I left watching this whole season. I watched it on a Saturday and Sunday, all like season 5, like all 10 episodes. It wasn't that I was a fan of Formula One. It made me come away thinking like, I can do better at the other things that I'm doing. Like, that's the thing that I thought about it. Like, wow, these guys try really hard to win.
Yeah.
And it's not, they never accept losing. They have to win. And none of them always do. I mean, only 2 guys are really winning all the races, but they're just trying everything they can do. And it just motivates me in my business, in my life, and all this kind of things. And that's why it hit me on an emotional level. Like, man, like, I can do better. And, I can make another course. These guys are racing cars. I can do it. So like, and I want to take that competitive drive and pass it on to people that come through our course. And I want them to say, you can achieve great things, and that's why I like watching people that do great things that seemingly are impossible. And then when you watch the first camera action, you realize like how fast 200 miles an hour is going around a curve. You're like, wow, these guys are good at it. It's crazy good. Yeah. So anyway, it's good.
That's cool.
Formula One.
That's cool. Okay, Sarah, what you got?
Okay, so I'm in Utah, right? And we are the like supplement capital of the world. Not sure if you know that, but
did not know that.
My Null and Not Null is from the same company. So the Null is like Built bars. I don't know if you've heard of these.
Yes.
But they're protein bars. This specifically says granola bar. Now, I don't know about you, but like, this is not a granola bar. This is like all like gooey and chewy on the inside. And I'm like, do you know what the word granola means? Because I was expecting something that maybe had like a little crunch to it, granola. But so the granola bars are not granola bars, and it made me angry because I bit into it and I was like, what am I eating? But what is
good flavors
good,
though.
Yeah, what is good is these puffs. Like, it's basically like marshmallow covered in chocolate, and it's a protein bar. So
supposedly, right?
Supposedly,
what flavor did you get there? That's snickerdoodle.
This one is the
there?
coconut brownie chunk. Yeah, coconut brownie chunk. They have that's the one. But they sometimes get rid of flavors and have new flavors and stuff. So it's not always the same. But the other one that's really good that's not for sale right now is the cookie dough chunk puff.
Okay.
Anyway, I like the puffs because I like that marshmallow feel. I don't want to be digging gel out of my teeth for a protein bar. So that's.
Are these sold in stores or are these online only deals?
Well, here they're in stores because it's from here. They are from Utah. And so I can go pick those up just at my grocery store, but or you can just buy them online.
I think the trick with protein bars is that as long as they don't pretend to be something else.
Right.
Right. Like granola.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop pretending to be granola. You're not granola.
Yeah.
Paul, what you got?
This is gonna be. I don't want people to judge me or anything, but I'm gonna show you.
We're judging. We're judging hard. Go for it.
Flat Earthers already judged you.
I'm gonna throw it in the chat. The most amazing experience I recently had, which was really, really fun, and I actually learned like something cool. So there's this thing called pastas with grandmas, where you get a grandma. She doesn't speak any English. She speaks Italian, and then her niece or whoever like translate, and you basically cook a whole meal together. And it's like the most amazing thing I've done. And I learned this super impressive secret, how to cut pasta, because you make it from scratch. And then there's a secret way that you roll it and cut it. So you could cut a lot of it at once. And then there's this even cooler trick, how you use your knife to pick it up, where all the pasta unravels at the same time. I'm like, that's going to be my move for the date. I learned like so much. So now I got like an amazing secret shared by grandma from Italy of how to make pasta. And I got these killer moves that any date that I invite and I show them that knife trick, they're at least going to eat the pasta before they leave. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's good. Like it's pretty, no, but all in all, it's like a really great fun experience. So I really had fun, and it's great for like if you're a company and you want to do something cool together, or you like with family, like you want to do something cool together. I thought it was like kind of very like wholesome kind of fun. And, you know, kind of coming back to like I grew up in a generation where everybody plays like video games all the time, like shooting all the time. There's nothing wrong with it, or like watch violent movies, that sometimes you like forget that there's all these other experiences that you could do like that were really fun. It was kind of nice.
And they just
and this is online.
Zoom.
It's online.
This is online.
Yeah. You use Zoom, Airbnb, and I kind of like that idea. And so this is not going to be replaced by AI. You know, you have like Italian grandma
totally
how to make pasta. It's
was this a one-on-one thing then, or you part of a group?
I was part of. We had our own group. It was like 4 of us. It's like my team at my company that I work, and it was cool because like we all made pasta. We made homemade pasta. By the way, homemade pasta just tastes better. Like I was surprised that it tasted as good because I don't make things good. And the fact that it came out good was impressive. But the other part, it was kind of cool because we got to connect, and like we were all like my teammates, we're all like stuffing our face with the pasta we make, having a good time. And kind of in moments where everybody's so separated, like sometimes maybe you're not able to like go out with friends you haven't seen in a while. Like, so like I used to live in Connecticut. I have so many friends in Connecticut. I now live in Texas. Half those people I don't see. And I was thinking, you know, it'd be cool to do like an online event with friends you have or you can't physically meet up with. It's something that, you know, you could have a good time around. So I thought I was pleasantly surprised.
The company, let me ask you. So the company all logged in from their remote location to this one Zoom call.
Yeah.
And did you have to have equipment? Obviously, you got to like get the pasta crank or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
they said no. This was all homemade. There's no pasta crank. There's like a knife and your cutting board and your hands. So it's pretty sweet. Like I made like some legit. I was super, like that. I was really impressed how good it came out. So they do give you beforehand like a list of things that you need, and this recipe. Not to spoil it, it's very, very simple. And I think that's what makes it delicious. It's literally like flour, eggs, salt, olive oil, tomato, carrot, one other thing I forgot, like a celery, and just the rest you make you just put it together and you cook it. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, this is interesting.
It's really nice.
I think this is interesting.
Dude, the pasta, I've never made pasta so good, and it's so delicious. I've been spoiled. You know how like you do crack and then you could never put it down? I had
no.
You know, apparently no for me too, because apparently, you know, otherwise I would never give up. But this is what it is. Like I don't think I could eat fake pasta anymore. I don't think I could eat fake pasta anymore. I would literally take the extra time at home to make pasta from scratch. Because first of all, it was the process was demystified to a point where I'm like, oh, this is not that hard. And the fact that it's just so amazing. And there's something about cooking. I don't know. Like, it was great.
That's amazing.
Okay. That is.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Wholesome. People didn't think I had wholesome experiences in my life, right? They thought I was just mayhem and just complete.
You do have cracks.
Everybody else.
There you go. I mean, yeah, you did bring up the crack.
This is how you supplement it. You gotta get. What'd you sprinkle on it, Paul? Nothing. That's not Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan.
Yeah.
Parmesan.
Not Parmesan. It was good.
Okay, I thought for this week I'm going to do obviously my null this week's sort of the same as it's always been. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Rhymes with Twitter.
Rhymes with Twitter. We talked about that enough. But my not null for this week, I thought, like, what do I use every day that that I find like super useful and I would buy again in a heartbeat? And headphones, something that I use every day. I video edit at Coder Foundry, so I wear headphones a lot of the day. So a couple of headphone recommendations. Like, I use in-ears on here, just regular, just like, they're not expensive. They're like $15 from Amazon. I'd actually recommend these. Like, they were for the price, they're really good. Maybe I'll put these in the list too. But a couple of sets of headphones that I use right now. I use these ones a lot. These are these ones, the Bear Dynamic
These are the
770 Pros, which are really good. These are my kind of newer ones that I'm using daily now. They're closed ear, they're over the head, they're super comfortable. That's the other thing, like when you're editing stuff, having the over the ear and a like cushy headband is a thing. Like, definitely is a thing. So those ones I'm using right now, or I'd recommend these ones too. I have these as well. The Audio Technica. What are these ones? The MX or the M50X. These have a slight advantage because they do fold up. They do fold that way too, which is kind of nice. But they also fold in on themselves too. So if you're packing them up, you can travel with these a little bit better because they kind of fold up inside themselves. And these have a removable cord too, which is kind of nice. This part comes off and you can change the cord on them, which is kind of, the other ones don't have that. The only issue I have with these ones though is the ear cups that they come with do wear out over time. The other ones haven't, but they're kind of newer. But these ones, I've had to replace them a couple of times because they do wear out. But again, it's a cheap part. It's not really expensive, but the headphones themselves definitely last. And I've heard this band can wear out too on the top. Mine hasn't yet. But yeah, I'd recommend either one of those if you want an over-the-ear headphone, especially if you're video editing or anything like that, or even listening to music. They're just different. I mean, AirPods are good. I have AirPods. I use them, but sitting at a desk, you don't want something stuck in your ear all day. You want something that sits on your head that's way more comfortable. Just like,
and I can vouch for the in-ears that you're talking about, Kevin, because I have two. I have a very expensive in-ear set, and then I bought the ones Kevin recommended that were literally $15, and now I've converted over to the $15 ones. I had the Sennheiser in-ear set, but they would never stay in my ear, and these just are low profile, and they sit in there, and they look better on camera because they're clear.
Yeah. Well, plus they're clear too. Yeah, you can barely even tell you're wearing them. Right? It's just the same thing. Yeah, and cheap, and they sound great. There you go. Sarah's got some too. You get cheap ones too, Sarah, or did you buy expensive ones?
No, I want expensive ones.
Yeah,
so
that's
I have
you can.
Sennheiser
I mean,
set, which I like these MEEs better.
Yeah, mine are Shure.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've had some expensive ones in the past, and I was just like, these are for like, I'm using them for like this, right? For like podcasting or like going on a Zoom call or something.
Yep.
I'm not listening to music in them. I'm not like plugging them into a wireless mic or on a stage or something. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to try the cheap ones. Somebody recommended them to me. I was like, I'm going to try them. $15. I can't really like, if they're terrible, I'll just throw them away.
Right.
And I've used them ever since, and they've never broken. I've never had to replace them. The only thing I had to do with them was put a cord extension on them because the cord's kind of short and my PC is kind of over here a little bit. So I did have to buy a cord extension, but that's the only thing. So I guess I'm up to $25 maybe.
So expensive.
Exactly. But you're talking about $160, $170 for these over the ear ones. Not crazy expensive because you can buy crazy expensive ones. I mean, Audio Technica has $1,000 headphones. Bear has a set that's, I think, like $8,000. It's ridiculous. Like, you can really go up there. You get into audiophile stuff, it can be really expensive, but you don't need that for your general, just, yeah.
It's good that I went with pastas with grandmas because I also was thinking of talking about my headphones today too, but
next week.
Perfect.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna. It's okay. I don't have to share what they are, but I found a new way of using headphones. So I like to sometimes sleep in late, and then I like to have my windows open so the birds start chirping at like around 5 a.m. So it wakes me up. So my headphones have noise cancellation. I don't even listen to music. I just put the headphones on, noise cancellation, and then sleep for a couple more hours. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's nice.
Yes.
Brilliant. What are those? What do you have? You have the Sony one?
I got Bose, like U45, whatever they are. I had them before, but they were like a lemon. And then I never returned them in time. And so they were out of warranty. And so I was very hesitant, but I ended up getting, after like a year and a half, got a new pair. And I ended up getting the protection on them just in case, because I was like, they're too expensive to I mean, to me, like they're reasonably expensive. Like, and so I was like, oh yeah, but they're nice.
I've had the Bose wireless headsets for a while, and I like listening to music with them. But when I was editing video with them, the lag was too hard to overcome. I don't know what the deal was. It's like, Kevin knows what happened. I went out and sometimes I shoot stuff, and I went out and shot a Christmas concert. It was like a 5-camera shoot. Like 50 people there were in this like really legit like soundstage. And so I just did it, and then I came back and I said, Kevin, this stuff's not syncing. And it's like I had the Bose headsets on. And it's like it's not syncing. I'm screwed. Like, what do I do? And I figured out it was the headphones.
So I was going to say, this is because I like music, and you can't make music when there's lag because it's just going to make you jump out your window. And so I bought these because they have like a thing to have a wired connection. So, you could mix and match, which I thought was kind of cool. Otherwise, I was just like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a set of, actually, these ones that I recommended, these Audio-Technica ones, also, they do a set that has Bluetooth as well.
Nice.
So you can have them wired. Again, you can pull out the wire, and you do have it. I think it's the M50X, like BT or something. It says, or M50XB or something like that. Nice. It's like an extra. I want to say it's $20 more.
That's worth it.
To get the Bluetooth in them.
But I don't think you can edit with wireless headphoons. I don't think it. Maybe maybe it's just
so lagging. It's always lagging.
Yeah, it's just that latency's killer. Yeah, it needs to be. Yeah, latency's too bad. Okay, well that's it. Let's wrap it up. That's it for this week's episode of the Not Null Podcast. We'll be back again next week. In the meantime, leave us a review, drop us a comment, drop us an email, tell us what you like, what you don't like, any suggestions for the show. We'll listen to them.
Yell at us.
May just dismiss them and never talk about them.
Tell us why you think the Earth is flat.
Please try and convince us the Earth is flat. And I say try. Yes.
No. That's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna get one of those people wanting to come on the podcast.
Love it. That's amazing. Oh, one last thing. I just got to notice that the Threads app, literally just this second, the Threads app just dropped. Apparently, I'm just downloading it. My iPad just said, "Hey, download it."
I'm going.
So. Reviews next week. We'll see everybody later.